Joining us today is Kimberly Clow, and she has a business called Now You Know How. Now, Kimberly was a hairdresser for 16 years, and she took the foundation of having her own hair salon to develop a whole new business about teaching women to do things for themselves, one of which is how to blow dry your hair. So, Kimberly, so happy to have you here.
You.
I, for one, could use a tutorial. But tell us about, now you have literally had your own hair salon for a very, very long time, and have developed your business practices through that and learned about how to run a business, how to launch a business. And now you're launching a whole different line of content and possibly product. I can't wait to hear all about it. So tell me about that, please.
Well, you know how you go to the hair salon and you feel like $1,000,000, you look awesome and you're bouncing around and you have that moment of feeling completely defeated when you realize I'm never going to be able to do this again myself, which happens all the time. And I have that moment when a client will turn in her chair, she looks at herself, and you watch this conversation happen between herself and herself in the mirror, and she's like, so how am I going to do? And it's like, no. So I never have a bad hair day that I do not choose, right?
Oh my gosh.
Because I know what I'm doing. And that's a really great luxury. Well, I decided to find a way to help other people feel the same way. And so it's really not, so many people say like, oh, I'm horrible with my hair. I don't know what I'm doing. I could never do what you do.
Lots of negative self-talk around their hair.
And what's really funny is I think, they say, you can do it, but I could never do it. I'm thinking, well, how old are you, right? You're like probably 25, right? Like you've had hair for 25 years. Like you're doing hair every day, whether or not you're doing it professionally and whether or not you're doing it well. So if you're going to do hair, your own, you don't have to do anybody else's, but
right, it's
well
just
do
one
a real
person
right.
you have to worry about.
You don't have to master all hair of all mankind. You have to know how to do just the one person's hair, and just learning a couple of things is so empowering when you leave, right? Like say you've gone to college, you have this big degree, and you're heading out into the world, and you have your interview coming up. It doesn't matter how much education you have. That moment when you're standing in the bathroom mirror going, crap, what am I going to do with my hair? Like that can change, make or break a date, or going out for a job interview, going out with your girlfriends, how you feel in the world, just walking down the street. It's extremely powerful, and I don't think people give themselves or understand quite how powerful of a thing it can be when you have the tools that you need to do it.
So your first DVD that you have developed literally teaches women how to blow dry their hair, how to do their own hair.
Yes.
Now, are there different techniques depending on the type of hair you have? Do you address all of that? And can you give us some tips right here, right now?
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. So for starters, one of my big things is I'm sort of like the anti-hairdresser, like the the big, like walk down the catwalk. All that. It's very intimidating, this whole world of beauty, right? And so you're like scouring the magazines trying to find the right, like, oh, how do I do it? Oh, this is how you do it. Well, they're not taking into account what kind of hair you have and where you start, right? If you've got super fine hair, it's gonna lay flat and you want a lot of body, you can start blowing your hair, get it halfway dry, and then, and then go in with the round brush to get body or whatever. But if you have fuzzy hair and you try that same thing, it's a nightmare. And so so the way I teach in this DVD is extremely detailed. Literally, it's me behind the chair first, showing how to get bouncy movement or super straight looks out of wavy, the hardest hair to do. The principles apply to hair that, to straight hair or whatever, but I'm showing it on the harder hair type.
Got it, okay.
And then after I show the techniques, everyone says, yeah, but you don't understand. It's really hard to do on yourself. And I laugh because I'm like, how can I not understand? I have hair on my head. It's the same thing. So I show me in my bathroom blow drying my hair from wet to dry, the entire process. So really, it demystifies the whole thing. It makes it not so intimidating.
And I love how you said that today in this world of beauty, and it can be so intimidating. And when we're out there in the world launching businesses and trying to move our dreams forward, it is important to feel good about the way that we look, because it translates to how you feel about when you're in, how you feel inside, and when you're in meetings with people, that obviously carries
Yes.
through. And I love that you're demystifying that for us. And so your video, your current video, can be found at nowyouKnowHow.com,
Yes,
correct?
exactly.
And tell me about how you are now evolving this company and these concepts, because really Now You Know How can apply to other things as well, correct?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like, I just wanted to make a DVD to help people blow dry their hair. And we were looking for a name, and we came across Now You Know How. We were like, oh my God. It touched on what my real heart is, which is to empower people to do the thing they didn't think they could do. Starting a business for one, right? But there's so much potential moving forward. It could stay in the world of beauty. It could stay with just women. It can be anything. It could be what your mom would have taught you if she'd known how. And it's stuff that, you know, it's not the hardest thing ever, but gosh, knowing it sure makes a difference in your life, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that there's so many extensions around that. And so when you joined Ladies Who Launch, I think it's very interesting because you had a successful business. You have had a successful business doing this one thing. What light bulb went off for you to create this new idea? And you know, what inspired you, and how all of a sudden did you get yourself kind of, I don't want to say unstuck, but I mean to some degree, even though you've had a very successful business, maybe you were stuck in wanting to stimulate your own creativity and do something new, or you know, send that message that you have about teaching other women. What got you there? And I know you joined Ladies Who Launch and you were surrounded by other women. Was that helpful in your process of moving this forward?
Absolutely. And the whole thing, you know, everyone sort of has their light bulb moment when they're like, oh my gosh, this could really work, you know? So I'm blow drying someone's hair and she's asking me 100 questions about blow drying her hair. And I'm catching myself, I'm embarrassed to say it, but catching myself kind of being like, well, you first, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, la, 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 la. I've heard myself say this a million times. And I was like, oh, I've said it a million times, but she's never heard it. Like, she doesn't know. Oh my gosh, maybe I could really help a lot of people that don't know. And not every hairdresser is necessarily good at teaching. And sometimes they don't want to exactly teach, which is okay, it's fine.
Right.
I'm good at both. I happen to be good at both. But taking that from an idea, right, of thinking that might be a great thing to do, to actually having a DVD in my hand was like a crazy journey. And that's why I'm so grateful for having Ladies Who Launch, because everyone gets these great ideas and then they think of all the reasons why it won't work.
It's absolutely.
And then they're done, and then they had this great, and then someone else will do it and they'll be like, I had that idea. And I'm like, well, you should have done it, you know? And so that's what I laid in bed talking to my husband. I'm like, oh my gosh, this could be great. Oh my gosh. And so I'm thinking it through. And I was like, Tim, if I don't do this, I'm going to be one of those people who sits in my chair and has all these ideas and never does it. I'm totally going to do it. It was just so great.
And I think
so
so many of us feel that way. And that is so, so inspiring. And I just think also, you know, the fact that you were able to have that moment of self-awareness, you know, when you actually saw yourself repeating the same things over and over again, you know, oftentimes it takes an outsider to see that for you, but you were able to step back from yourself and see, gosh, there's really an opportunity here. So thank you so much for joining us.
Sure.
NowYouKnowHow.com is, I can't imagine where you're going to go next and how big it's going to be, but thank you.
Thank you very much.